influence and impact of social media on young men's mental health?
I think the impact can be very varied depending on like your exact age and how much you grew up with the internet. Because I feel like if you grew up with the internet more, you might have like thicker skin. Like some people tend to care less about what's said about them, but then again, some people who like not as used to the internet, seeing such like, because there's lots of like negative messages on the internet, seeing so much might be kind of a shock and like might be kind of stressful like to handle that. But I think it's just like varying degrees of how different people handle it, considering it's such like a wide platform.
Yeah, I agree with you. It can have both positive and negative. So, for example, Andrew Tate again. Some of the things he says, they can be like seen as harmful and things like that because he speaks transgressively, where he's very blunt with what he says. Some people could use that as motivation, where it could destroy other people. So I think it can have either. But I do know it can have terrible effects. Like for example, since the internet, 40% of gym goers now aren't natural. They take drugs, performance enhancers, just to meet their expectation.
Yeah, I think with the internet, it's also like lots of new pressures and like new ideas that could be like put onto different people that you might not have seen without the internet. Like, because it's like such a widespread like community, you can learn so much, which could be helpful in some situations, but in some situations it could be like quite detrimental, especially to like developing minds and stuff.
So even like social media, like it has a really big impact on many people, because I've seen really like famous people that are out there, but then other people there's always that side of people that has a negative aspect of a person. So they always give like bad comments, and like into like the mental health area of this, it's like they see it as a really bad impact. So they'll take it so personally that some people will even commit suicide just for a comment, or just do random things in order for them, because they feel like they're not worth it because of a comment. Like that's why whatever comes from our mouth, it has to be positive. Or if it's something negative, just keep it with you and not say it at all. Because it's like, if you say it, you have to think about how are they going to react and how they're going to feel about it when you say it. Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
I feel like social media is one of those controversial things, and as young people growing up, I don't think it's too good to indulge yourself on social media too much, because it can lead to a lot of things. Like me personally, when I was growing up, I'll say between the ages of 15 to 17, I would see all these rappers of these diamonds, the watches, the fame, and I kind of want to, have a piece of that, because you do realize they get treated better by other people. They'll have people treating them nicer because they too want to partake in some of the activities they do, whether it's the girls or anything. So yeah, I feel like mentally it did put me in kind of in a bad place, because or maybe feel inferior kind of thing, because I'm not where he is, even though it's not necessary for me to be where he is, because behind all of the things that he has, there might be unhappiness, and I feel like if I led myself towards that path, I could potentially end up unhappy. So yeah.
It's true, like a lot of people have a facade. Sometimes you may think they're happy outside, but inside they could be depressed, they could be stressed, they could be having like problems at home. So many people put a facade, but they don't know how to express themselves. That's why it's really important to have those kind of communities or groups that will be able to speak. Even if you don't go to a group, just your family to speak to, so you can be open, so you can overcome it. And even for social media, like it's not too much. It's all about having that balance, as I was saying before. Too much of everything is not good. Like you have to have that balance of good, of course. So yeah.
Anna mentioned a point that was mentioned earlier about 40% of men. Well, I'm not exactly sure of the exact statistics, but it was something to do with 40% of young men who go to the gym now. They end up using like either drugs or like other means to be able to get their body to an ideal position, and I think that like goes directly in hand with the impact social media has towards young people themselves, young men especially, is that when you look at social media and you see another 17-year-old, another 18-year-old, another 19, 20-year-old and they have these physiques that are never impossible to reach without using stuff like creatine or these other substances that are like, as a young person myself, if I'm not up to that standard, if my body doesn't look like that, I straight away feel down about myself and I question myself like, what am I doing wrong? Why do I look like this? And it gives me like a negative image of myself and it puts me down where I feel insecure and like you feel that there's issues within yourself which really you shouldn't feel. Like everyone's been created in their own way, everyone looks beautiful in their own way. Like it's a common phrase, but everyone is beautiful in their own way. And so like we'd usually be appreciative of like all the blessings that we do have with like whether you can see properly, whether you have both your hands, whether like anything, usually you'd be really appreciative. But as soon as social media comes into and you see other people looking these ideal ways, you kind of start judging yourself and you like look at your negative traits rather than your positives. And I think that's a big thing social media has. It just puts you down all the time and it makes you not realize the blessings you do have.
I think one of the points he said, I think you can look at it two ways. So for example, we went down the route where you look at people your own age and they've got like unrealistic standards, whereas there's other videos where you see people who looked exactly like you and they showed the transformation, how they've worked out, what they've done to get where they are, and you can use that as a motivator for yourself. So you now see, this is what he looked like, this is exactly what I look like. In a few months' time, if I dedicate myself and put in that hard work, I'll look exactly like them or somewhat nearer to that standard.
Yeah, it's true, like some people want to be like others, but it's all about like just be yourself. In yourself, in your own image, that's who you are, and people like you for who you are. You don't have to put a facade, you don't have to act a certain way in order for people to like you. Just be you.
I feel like adding on to everyone's point, I feel like there's two ways you can go about it. You can use it as a tool to actually improve yourself, or you can use it or you can go the other way, you can go sideways, meaning that it will lead to depression and stuff like that because you're looking at unrealistic expectations and you want to become just like them. And like you said, behind closed doors, you don't even know what they're going through. So, yeah.
I think another thing that social media does as well is, in terms of like, you see like recently, like quite regularly, you see on social media, young boys are involved in this gang violence, in this crime, they're involved in the lootings that are going on
I know why
in the UK.
that's just because they're, so-called rappers and stuff like that, because their music and all that stuff out there.
So the influence.
Yeah, the
All that
direct
influence.
impact,
Whatever
yeah.
you listen to, it becomes second nature. Like,
And
you end
like-
up doing what you hear.
Exactly, yeah. And
So-
like that's the thing of when you're watching social media and you're seeing all these other young people do stuff like that, you're kind of like, either you have to prove yourself that, like when you're out there you have to prove, but I'm not, that's not what young boys are like. We're not, this isn't us.
Yeah.
There are people that have other lifestyles, they have other passions, they have good characteristics, but then it's also a thing of, I kind of need to fit in with them. There's two ways of going about it. You either like have to prove yourself like so much when you shouldn't need to really prove yourself like that. You should just be who you are. Or it is you fall into that trap of associating yourself with this because you think that's what everyone's like.
We call it nowadays clout. Like everyone wants the clout. That's what people are doing on social media because they want that validation. Essentially, that's what it is. When you are posting something, you do want that validation. Like, oh, you look nice today, this and that. But why else would we post it? Like, we're going about our life,
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
And I feel like it is unfortunate because, us people, we realise that when you do look on social media and you look at all the videos, you realise that it is quite unfortunate, but it is mostly the ethnic minorities that do be committing those kind of actions. And so, like, when we're going into places like Stratford, Westfield, Barking, Lakeside, or any of these areas, we kind of get stereotypes, and people do with like a condescending look, as if we're similar to those people, but we might have the same skin colour, we might be painted the same way, we may look the same, but that doesn't necessarily mean we act the same way. We all came from a different background, grew up in a different area. So it's really about what's on the inside of us. So I feel like we shouldn't be judged by what other people are doing just because we look the same as them. So,
And we also have it's all about making that decision. And like, if you want to change, if you want to be the difference, it's all about just taking that action. Some people don't want to take the action of, being a different person. They just want to be like others. Like it's all about like even part of like the youth group and part of UIG. We always encourage others to come out of their comfort zone and work with other people and meet new people, meet new faces, and it's all about like coming out of your comfort zone and the lifestyle you're living. If it's really suitable for you, and if you want to come out of that comfort zone, how are you going to live a better lifestyle that you are in? So it's all about making a decision, and the opportunities that you have now, take it when they're there before it's too late.